All right, excellent. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Capital Improvement Program Committee for January the 12th. I welcome everyone this evening and would like to start with the first item on the agenda, which is to get a motion to approve the prior workshop minutes.
So moved?
Okay,
Second.
I see that from Jen, and I see a second from Al.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Then all in favor would say aye.
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 Any opposed or abstained? Okay, motion carries. Thank you so much. So item number two, we are going to discuss facilities, and I know that Stacy wanted to have the opportunity to do a brief overview before we got into this subject, so I'm going to send it over to you.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna stop sharing and I'm gonna share the CIP document if I had it open. Okay. Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so tonight I think we're gonna focus on the Board of Ed CNRE projects on page 28. That's what I'm showing right now. And what we're focusing on are these last two white rows here, which would be the Board of Ed approved facilities plan for the next 5 years, as well as talking about the Neck River solar panels. So those are the two items that are on the agenda. I then am going to go to page 42, which will give you a detail of the full Board of Ed facilities, Board of Ed approved maintenance plan. So the total that starts on page 42 will come to this total of 9.634. And I believe Dr. Cook, Peter Anderson, Ben Whitaker is here to talk about it. So I'm going to move on to page 42.
John, hi, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, just a quick question, Stacy. When I was preparing for this and I looked at your previous email, I thought we had non-recurring expenses that included facilities work. Are we dispensing with that part of the discussion?
That's what yep, this is a facilities maintenance plan for the Board of Ed.
Oh, okay, fine. Because I was looking at the numbers that you had presented or have been presented for example, the replacement of the generator at the police station. So that's not on the agenda tonight. Is that
That's
correct?
for Wednesday morning. Tonight
Okay,
is the
got
Board of
it.
Ed.
Okay, thanks for qualifying that. Thank you.
Thanks, John. So I do see that there are all three panelists who are scheduled to speak regarding this matter. I'm not sure of the order that you'd like to go in, so
Well,
I
yeah,
will send that over and
I'm
yes, go right ahead.
this is Ben. I'm
Sure.
happy to
I
take
was,
it.
I was, yeah, I was just going to introduce myself, Pete Anderson. We got Ben Whitaker. Ben has done a deep dive into our current SIP program, and he's really dialed this in. So I'm going to have him answer on some of these questions to really get an in-depth, detailed view of the projects moving forward on the SIP.
Yeah, thanks for
Ben?
the introduction. I'm fighting some illness, so I'm not camera ready. Hopefully I will be by our Wednesday meeting, so bear with me here. But yeah, so the really deep dive is ongoing, and I think the SIP is going to probably look a little different that we'll present next year as we kind of audit some of these legacy projects and put forward. I think I'm up to about 11 right now of new ones that we'll be putting in for our next cycle, so 28 through 32. So with the plan in front of you now, there's a lot of reverse engineering that went on to try to validate some of these projects and get some of the numbers where they need to be. We could go in order by school here, but in from an order of magnitude standpoint, the largest project we're going to discuss tonight for the upcoming fiscal year that hopefully will make its way into the first selectwoman's budget is the baseball field conversion. So we'll kind of we'll scroll into it now. So let's hit it because that's the big one. So this project was a legacy project. It was in the capital plan for some time. There was design money that was sitting on the table when I started with the district in July of 24. We started to design the project. There was then $1.6 million total that followed on in fiscal year 26 to actually build the project. We wanted to be ready to build it for summer 26, so we started designing it in concurrence with the softball field turf replacement project. Had doubts that the budget was going to be adequate. I think there were some things that were needed with that area that may not have been carried in the initial planning for it. For example, the entire field had to be rotated to not conflict with the building anymore. And that included doing some fill work, a lot of regrading. We brought the project through planning and zoning and wetlands, secured all our permits, everything. The design firm and myself were very apprehensive to even bid it, thinking our budget wasn't going to be able to get what we needed. We did bid it. We were hoping to see an economy of scale, like I said, with the softball field. Bids came back in way over budget. We ended up splitting the softball field out and getting a supplemental appropriation for that, and we took care of that project this fall. We're in the punch list stage now. So as part of that process, we went back and worked with the design firm to put together a budget pro forma if we bid this thing this spring and built it in the summer. So where that landed us was we were going to need a little over 1.6 million additional funding to make this project happen. 1.6, I think that number ended up just getting rounded down a little bit into the SIP process. News since then is the Board of Ed back in December. Dr. Cook, correct me if I've got my numbers wrong here, but I believe it was 382,727 was a commitment from year-end funds into this project. So that number at some point, I don't know if this is the right venue to do it, but really we'd be looking at another 1.233590 to get this project going. And we would, again, the plan would be if the project survives SIP committee and makes itself into the first select women's budget, that would give us at least enough confidence to get this out into the market. But obviously we wouldn't make any formal award till after the budget passed referendum. So again, that's the big project in here that's coming. There's a roof project, but that's still a year out. So I figure let's discuss the big one first, and then we get all the little ones afterwards.
Bob, if I can clarify back on page 28, you can see those return of funds that Ben referenced, and we'll talk about that in the workshops next week as far as funding sources, but that's where you'll see the return of funds towards this project.
Stacy, can you explain that? Is that return of funds in this 1.6 million, or is it separate from that? Is it already accounted for?
So this 1.6 million is gross. So that's what we're going to need to complete the project. If we go back, I'll show you really quickly. If we go back to page 28 and then move down. So it's gross up here in this $9 million, the baseball field, but down here, we're adding to the CIP CNRE balance $383,000. So we're putting money into the fund so that we could spend the entire amount on the baseball field that's up here. So that 1.6 is gross before the 383. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
So the 1.6 though, is that just the artificial turf? What is in that 1.6?
I'll let Ben take that one.
That's the additional money needed to fund the project to bid. No construction has happened with that project, so that is to rebid the project. That's our new budget. So when you combine all the pots of money, so to speak, the estimate to get the project done was about 3.2 million. So we already have we've spent some money on design, but let's call it a little over 1.5 left right now. So you would add the 1.6 to it, and that would be the funding we need to move forward with the project.
And then subtract the 383.
Correct.
And by the project, you mean artificial turf, putting artificial turf on the boys on the Daniel Hand
Correct.
baseball
Yeah,
field.
the
That's
scope of
the
the
project.
project. Correct. Yes, it is unchanged from the original scope that's been in the SIP for a while.
I was gonna say we just have some new members on the SIP committee that are potentially not aware of what the full scope of the project was. So
Gotcha.
we want
Okay,
to
no,
get
that makes sense.
yeah.
So yes, to back up then, right now the baseball field turf is a natural grass turf. It's not in the best of condition. It really it limits the amount of play that they're able to have, especially on the shoulder seasons. So that the athletic department had decided years ago that they wanted to go down the path of putting a synthetic turf field in there. To renovate this type of field into a synthetic turf field has a lot of site work, a lot of regrading, earthwork before all new drainage system. Again, the project has gone through planning and zoning and through wetlands, and we've secured all the approvals for that to do all the additional drainage that's needed. There are a couple retaining walls that are being built because the field is, like I said, it's rotating away from the school. So they'll have a proper playing surface. But the end result is we're going from a grass field to a synthetic turf field.
Hi, Laura. I see a hand raised.
Hi, and I assume, Ben, that this includes dugout areas and fencing and
It does, yeah.
it's not just the turf that we're
It's not
talking
just the
about.
turf. So one of the reasons why we were doubtful of the project budget as a whole was that if we're going to go into this area, we want to make sure it's a comprehensive rehabilitation of the area. We're not going back next year and saying, "Hey, we're going to do dugouts and fencing," or look at our new field, but everything around it looks awful.
Yeah.
So this
Is
is
there lighting?
there is no lighting. So that is one thing. We discussed that with athletics. There was a project that was actually sitting in there. It's way out in the long range plan. But athletics has said that they'd rather focus their money elsewhere and have abandoned the desire for lighting there. But it is new batting tunnels, pitching practice areas, dugouts, fencing. There's actually a practice field that's out in right field, so a practice area so they could limit the amount of times that they're actually practicing on the field itself. And it's designed to be a multi-sport area too. So it's a really comprehensive plan to go at this once.
Thank you.
Hi, Jen.
Hi, Ben. Couple questions. One would be, has there been a cost comparison done on, what we would need to invest and spend on a year-over-year basis if we maintain this as a grass field versus converting it to a turf field?
There isn't one that I've seen. This project has existed as a turf field, certainly far predating me. I would assume that analysis would have been done when it made its way into the SIP in the first place, but it is not something I've gone back to look at.
Okay, all right, yeah. So that answer could predate many of us on
Jen,
on
I'd like to add a
the
couple things here, if I may.
Sure.
Um, the natural field as it is now only allows play really for one season, one sport. What this is by adding that practice field in the back, it does allow like the football field, it allows the field hockey field, the soccer field to have a shorter field, but also another field to practice on. So that being said, we've reduced the wear and tear on the natural field by eliminating it. If you were to truly have this another field like this, you would actually need another baseball field on top of this so that you wouldn't wear out the field or the infield on a regular basis due to overplay.
Okay. All right. That's helpful information. And then I was going to ask to piggyback on that, will this be helpful at all to our rec programs in town as well for baseball and softball with both of these field projects to allow for greater usage for them? I'm just thinking, as we're doing all these facility studies, um, you know, would there be potential for other fields coming offline because they could be replaced by usage on these fields?
No other fields really coming offline, but the fact that obviously the high school and school sports has priority over this field because of varsity sports. However, it does allow for other sports to play on the field as a result of it not being subject to wear. So you don't have to worry about doubling up on the lines. You don't have to have reline the field after another game. Those lines are going to still be there all the time. You could have one game end, another game be right back up on top of it, and the field is as good a shape as it would be as if it was played on the first time. So the field can have 365 days of use, 24 hours a day if it wanted to.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what I was going to just share. We've had to, the last 2 years and in other years too, shut down the other teams playing on it because we wanted to maintain it for high school. And it just got to the point where it was barely playable for high school. So we had to tell town leagues they couldn't play on it. It's really the only full baseball field in town. The one at town campus is a little short. We wouldn't be able to play varsity games on that. So it is certainly a good thing to have that the town could use as well.
Okay, thank you.
Janet, I see your hand raised.
Yes, hi. So how often would this need to be replaced? Is it every 10 years, every 12 years? And would it be, $3 million a shot? What's the nut to the town going forward if should we do this?
So it all depends on use. The softball field that we just replaced was at the very end of its life. I think we did it just in time, and I want to say, Peter, was that 15 years that was done?
I'd say I think it's all of 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say it was at 15 or 17. It was old. And it's good. It was good that it was used. If you have very light use on these fields, you're pushing 15 to 20. There are districts and especially like collegiate sports that are really using them a lot, and you're at 10 years. The cost, so for example, to redo the softball field, now the softball field is much smaller. But that was about $420,000 to returf the softball field. So I could run some numbers on baseball, but it was, you wouldn't be talking 3 million. It would be probably sub a million. So for example, the football field turf, I was just having conversations about that because that's something we want to put into. It's actually sitting in there in 29 right now. I was doing a little number validation there. We'd be around 1 million. And the football field is substantially bigger than the baseball. So it's not like you have to spend 3 million every 15 years. That's what I'm trying to say.
Stacy, Emily is at our computer right now. I think you'd be able to promote her. And John, hi, I see your hand raised.
Yes, thanks, Bob. I just had two questions, I suppose. First of all, a point of clarification. Are we talking about replacing a natural turf field with a synthetic turf for $1.6 million? Is that the number we're looking at?
No, you're talking about adding $1.6 million to the existing project funding to convert from a grass field to a synthetic field, for the overall total of about 3.2 million.
Okay, so the total expenditure would be 3 million, but it's 1.6 million in addition
Correct.
to what we otherwise expend. What's the saving on that? You may have said this and I missed it. I apologize, but if we continue to maintain the natural turf, would there be a cost saving for that, or do you anticipate savings to accrue with the new synthetic turf?
There's definitely a savings that we were just talking about earlier. I would assume that analysis would have been done before this project has been in the SIP for quite some time. So I have not personally seen one of those, but I would assume that cost benefit would have been done at some point.
Yeah, my apologies. I'm new to CIP, so I didn't see that previous
Yeah, no problem.
analysis. The second issue I just want to bring up is that there's been numerous reports in medical literature and others that the crumb rubber composition of these fields may be detrimental to health. Now, I don't think the science is definitive on this yet. There's certainly no absolute answer, but have we had any input from the Department of Health of our Department of Public Health and Mr. Joseph, for example, to say that yes, it's reasonable to go ahead with this because there's no known additional health risk to using this type of field?
So that's the hot button issue of the 2000s, it seems, when this project went through. I mean, the reality is these fields are everywhere. They're throughout town now. Madison was an early adopter of these types of fields. So we've had these fields since the early 2000s. You have them at Strong, you have your football field, you had the softball field. There are definitely both camps. The synthetic fields are bad for every reason, including crumb rubber. Then you have the synthetic fields are great folks. As this went through planning and zoning and the wetlands process, both sides came out and were speaking for and against it. As a kind of construction manager, I'm agnostic to that. But I mean, these fields exist now and are throughout the country. Does that make it
Well,
right? Not for me to say.
well, I mean, I mean, not to be too flippant with you, but that's sort of like saying, well, cigarettes exist, so it's okay to keep
Exactly. And
smoking,
that's why I said
you
it's
know.
not for me to say,
So,
but there are both people that feel very passionately on both sides of
yeah,
this. And that really came front and center when this was going through planning and zoning, even though planning and zoning really didn't have any say
yeah,
into the infill. The debate quickly evolved with that audience.
yeah. Well, I mean, it might be worthwhile to do. I did a literature review about a year or so ago about this, and I thought things were inconclusive in the medical literature, but it might be worthwhile to have our public health folks with charge them with research this and make a recommendation based on the best evidence there.
Yeah, get ready for a lot of back and forth on that one then. I see what you mean.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Good. Thanks.
Hi, El, how are you?
Good evening, everybody. John, I wanted to tell you that in the past, this CIP committee, as well as the selectmen, have been assured by staff that the state health department is comfortable with the use of the synthetic turf fields. So that's been reported to us in the past, and that's been given us a measure of assurance. Perhaps there's new information that has come out since then, but in the past, we have been comfortable approving these things based on the information that was given us at that time.
Yeah. Thanks, Al. I appreciate that. I guess not to prolong this, but we probably should just do another meta-analysis or review of what's available in the literature and try to get some expert opinion on that.
Thank you. Did the presenters have any more information on the slide? Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Janet, I just see your hand has just been raised. Go ahead.
Yeah, just quick. I know you're all saying that it was done to look at how much we would be saving by not having to maintain the grass, but can someone try to dig that out? Because several of us are new on the committee.
Yeah, no, I'm saying
And
I don't know if that was done. Again, that would have been, I'm relatively new to the district as well.
okay.
I would assume that something like that would have been done at some point in the past. If not, I'm sure athletics and Peter's department could put together something to um, proof out some cost avoidance there.
Yeah, it would be great to have that.
Would you prefer to go through all the 27 projects first, or would you prefer to do these kind of they're in this by category? I'm a go by year person, so I like to talk about what's first, but I'm happy to go either way.
No, I think we're comfortable with whatever way that you think is best. That's fine.
Okay, then Stacy, maybe we just cycle right back up to the top, and I've got them on my end, kind of organized by order of magnitude and by year. But I'll go with on the screen. So the 75,000, that school security, that's a line item that's actually spent for the most part by IT. In the district, IT is in charge of school security. So that is a lot of their security infrastructure. And I think there's just been a commitment to kind of continuous improvement there. Dr. Cook, I don't know if you have any more background on that to provide.
Yes, absolutely. It's used for some technology security things at those buildings, adding cameras, things like that. So it may vary a little bit from year to year, but it is utilized each year.
we could stop for questions each one, or we could run through some of these are actually, most of them now are going to be very kind of mundane. We hit kind of the big one. Next one is just crack sealing. That's in there. We moved a couple pavement restoration projects during the process last year out of the 5 year. So in the meantime, you'll be seeing those again for me next year when I take ownership of this process. But for now, just putting some money in for pavement maintenance is the 25,000. That's standard crack sealing off the state contract. Stacy, you want to go to the next page here? We'll hit the other couple small ones. Walk-in cooler, excuse me, walk-in freezer replacement. It says coolers, but it's actually freezers. Took quite a while to dig that out. There's a walk-in freezer at Polson School. It has been, I actually don't even think it's operated in the past year. To fix this thing is well beyond feasible. It also had to be removed for our big project we're doing at Polson. That's actually kicking off next week, believe it or not, our HVAC and electrical auditorium and gym project. So the plan is we're demoing the freezer through that project because it's sitting right where our new generator is going to go. And then once all that new equipment is in there, we're hoping to actually get it close to the kitchen and install it in that nook near the generator. But if it won't fit because of required clearances, we will install it somewhere else on site. We just put a similar freezer up at Brown. That 85K is a legacy number, but that is a valid number based on the work we did at Brown this year. So that is replacement of an existing piece of equipment. And then the library replacement furniture underneath that. That is just what it says. It's for the school to purchase new furniture for the library media center at Polson, which Peter, I don't know if you have an age on that, but I heard that stuff is like 25, 30 years old.
It's on the rotational basis, but yeah, the furniture in the library has hit its 20-year mark for sure.
Yeah, so we'll be working with the principal and helping him through the procurement of that. And that's actually all that's in there for 27. Again, the big one being the field. So if we move over to 28, again, you'll see the 75 every year. That's a level funding that goes into the account for school security. The other big one that's in the plan is actually the biggest one in the plan is the roof at Daniel Hand High School. So that roof is it's called what's a modified bit roof. It's a rolled roofing material. It was put on when the building was constructed in 2003, 2004. Those roofs get between 20 and 30 years. With mod bit roofs, I've seen that usually 20 is closer to the truth, which is definitely the case in this one. This project's been in the plan for a while. It's been, I believe it was in 26's plan as fiscal year 30. We brought this up last year when we started doing the rooftop replacement project. That this roof was in really bad shape. So originally we had this in 27. We were going to present it to the committee in 27. Board of Ed ended up moving it out to 28, but just for financial reasons, because we wanted to finish off the baseball field project because that was half funded. But again, the roof up there is in bad shape. It'd be a state project, so we would, if we get this going in fiscal year 28, at the beginning of the year, we do a non-priority grant application with the state. We carry 25% reimbursement, just be a little conservative there. So about out of $3.8 million gross, we'd get just a little over 900,000 back from the state. So we'd be looking at about 2.9 net. We'd replace it with an EPDM roof, easier to maintain, better quality. Those mod bit roofs are a pain. They have what's called a granulated cap sheet on top of them. So if you go up on the roof of Hand, it's like walking in really fine gravel, almost sand. It gets jammed in all the roof drains up there. Peter's guys are constantly maintaining it. This roof has been limping along for years. I think Peter was last year. I think we put 15 grand into it and maintenance.
And this year we're putting another $25,000 into the roof to just patch up and replace cracks.
Yeah, so it's time. It's on its cycle. Again, you're going to be 25 years by the time we actually get this replaced, and the state will reimburse when you're above 20. So again, just we want to get that thing replaced for its catastrophic failure. smaller one on the list is replacing the generator at Daniel High School. That's one that we put in this year. This year it's in the SIP for the first time this year, I should say. Again, there's nothing wrong with the generator at the high school, but it does do all the life safety systems over there, and it's just reaching the end of its useful life. So that is to replace the generator in ATS. So 27. Looking at my sheet too. 25 grand again. That's another 25 for parking lot maintenance. We did a 2-year shot. 27, 28. We should be able to get pretty much around the district for that amount. There are areas at Polson and Hand that we're not even going to try to crack seal. They're in rough condition. And again, you'll see next year those. We've done some pretty extensive estimating work on taking that campus and parsing it out into phases, and we'll get those into future plans. The last one that's in 28. This is one I've been hearing about since the day I started here, and certainly for good reason. It's the calf flooring in brown. It has the old asbestos tile flooring in there. So that would be that project covers doing the abatement. So we do it over a summer. We shut the school down. We'd abate the area and replace it with regular vinyl floor tile. The floor in there is cracking. It's not in the best of shape. It's unsightly. Again, it's original. It's just time to go. And that does it for 28. There's only 3 other projects in 29. So the first one here, 475. So this one is there's a wastewater treatment plant at the high school, and this 475 has been in there for 10 years plus. I think when the school was installed or built, it was, hey, at some point we're going to have to do a major overhaul of that. I have not dug into that project personally yet. I plan on doing that over this next year to validate that number and see exactly what needs to be replaced in that. I don't have that much familiarity with wastewater treatment systems. I've been lucky enough, every district I've been at has been on septic. I've been on city water and sewer. So that one's a new one to me. But we'll be working with the engineers that maintains it to see exactly what we need to do here. But for now, I'd consider that one a placeholder. And the last one is down in Brown School. So Brown School, we did some work in Brown last summer, putting in a dish line up. But the rest of so we installed a dishwasher when we increased the population of the school. We put new 3-bay sinks in, did a nice little upgrade to that area. But that kitchen is original. It's got all the old asbestos tile flooring. It's got the original walk-in cooler and freezer boxes. They have newer mechanicals, and by newer, we're talking 15 years, so not like new. All the old stuff is still in there. It's kind of bizarre. You walk in and see these like 1968 compressors still hung on the old boxes because they were all custom made. So I believe that project if I remember correctly from last year's SIP, was actually close to double that. And I think there was a desire to get the number down to make the financials of the 5-year work. I'll tell you right now, 350 is not going to go very far in that kitchen for a full renewal of the space. So that's something we'll have to work together and either scope that out and get into the space and renovate everything and do it right, or we'll have to pick and choose what we can do over with that 350, because that is not going to cover a full renovation to Brown School's kitchen. Fiscal year 30 only has one project in it.
There's one more in 28, 29.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep, the football field. So what that means, it's an oddly worded project. Took me some time to figure out what that meant myself. So that means the football field. So inside the track. So there's the track surrounding the football field. I think it would have been easier to say field. But the athletic director and I actually just met this week to go over all the athletic projects, because there's a bunch of them in the quote unquote long range plan. And I think there's some opportunity to combine some things I wrote Dr. Cook a dissertation last week on our outcome of our meeting, which overall, I think we're going to end up pulling over $1 million out of the SIP when you take the whole long range into account. That 1.7, I think this is the first time I've said this when looking at this SIP. I think it's too much money. AD agrees. Now this is going back to the conversation we had earlier. The field was done. I had a year on here. You can double check that. It was installed in 2014. So this is one where it's hitting the end of its life, or will have by 29, and we're not, we don't have to dig the whole area up. It's going to be like we did at the softball field and just replace the turf itself. While I had the softball field folks here this fall, I had them look at it and just say, "Hey, give me throw a number on a napkin," and we're closer to $1 million. So what we are going to likely pitch to you next year is keeping that 1.7. So my advice this year is to keep the 1.7 in there. Everybody's familiar with that. It's been in there for years. It's just been marching forward in the plan. I think we could actually do the track and I'm sorry, the field, and actually address the track for that 1.7 million. There's another project to the tune of $1 million plus in there for the track. I think we're going to be able to do both for that. There's some newer technologies the athletic director was talking about, for renovating the track itself, where we don't have to actually pull all the asphalt underlayment out. It's more of like you strip the top coating out and do a spray. A couple different things that we started talking about last week. This is a fresh conversation, literally just had it. But I think if we end up just doing the field and not the track, which would be a little short-sighted, I think we should address the whole thing at once. We could do both of those for the 1.7. Now that's it for 29. 30 has one sitting out there. So again, this is a legacy project that's been sitting there. I'm not really sure what the scope of this what the scope is to replace the fiber. Not really sure of the necessity to do so. We just brought on a new IT director a few months ago. When he started, I bounced this off of him. It's something him and I will work on. It essentially would be an IT project anyway. But we should keep it in here. It's been in the capital plan. I'm not comfortable, and neither is he, just ripping that out until more investigation is done. Or even if that's the right cost. But for now, again, it's in a far out year. Keep it in a placeholder. Fiber doesn't last forever. But if it needs to be done in 2030, we'll work together to figure that one out. And then there are two projects sitting in for 31. The first one is FF&E at the high school. That's just what it says. It's for student desks and other instructional areas. That number is not tied to a specific area. It's basically starting a replacement cycle for the school. Again, it's 5 years out, so it's not like we're doing room 24s through 30. It's a number that as we get closer, work with the principal to start scoping out some areas, but acknowledging the need that the furniture at hand at that point is going to be almost 30 years old. And the last one is window replacement at Brown School. So this is a legacy project as well. It's been sitting in the capital plan. It's been now this year, it's bridging the gap between 31 and 32. So a lot of projects, we'll talk about this a lot more next year, but a lot of projects had design first and then construction second. There's a host of problems that go along with that. This one, I think, because that project has had difficulty making its way into the 5 year, it's one of those ones I think is keep getting pushed. There are areas in Brown where the windows are in a lot worse shape than others. So the intent here was to put $300,000 into 31. And if we don't fund I think it was close to $1 million and sitting out in the long range, this could actually start to hit some of those troubled areas. I actually spent a decent amount of time over at Brown during break when there was nobody in the building, and walked through with our maintenance manager and with our principal to get their feedback on what some of their trouble spots were. So we're going to start isolating that scope down for next year. But we are probably going to be looking at the second story windows that face the parking lot. They're smaller, almost like residential slider looking windows. We'd be replacing the glazing in the gym, the seal or the gym lobby. The seals are all shot. That's a 2-story storefront system. The panes are all fogged up and leaking. And then there's a original section over by the CAF, a 1970 section. That's also same thing. The glass is all opaque, and that's an old wood storefront system. So that would be a good test of concept for us to put a more modern aluminum storefront system in there. And then as we as funding allows in future years, going around and putting that same system in other places in the building. So that would be if we want to piece out that project. Of course, we could do the whole school in one shot. The state does allow for partial reimbursement for window projects. So we wouldn't really do that if we were parsing the project out into pieces. But if we wanted to tackle one project, that would, you'd not be talking in the millions of dollars, do all the windows and doors. But for now, again, we wanted to keep the 300 in there for budgetary purposes, to at least get something done over there. And that does it for the Board of Ed 5-year.
Hi, Jen, I see your hand.
Hi, just a quick question, Ben. For the roof at Daniel Hand, are we going to do that modified bit roof again, or are we looking at a different type?
No, so I would put in a tried and true what's called an EPDM roof. So it's a rubber roofing material. And it's there are a lot less problems. They're a lot easier to repair. When you do have problems or leaks, they're a lot easier to identify. It's a much more straightforward system, more cost effective, in my opinion. I've installed EPDM roofs on schools now for 15 years, and it's the way to go.
Okay, great.
Hi, Janet, I see your hand. You're muted. Jenna, you're muted.
Yeah, sorry. So for Brown School, I have this question, and I suspect that the public's going to have this question too. Why weren't those items included in the school renewal plan?
Dr. Cook, you want to take that one? I wasn't around when the school renewal plan was done,
Sure.
but I think Brown was done more piecemeal than the other schools.
So many of those Brown projects were in the CIP before the school renewal plan. The school renewal plan itself only provided Brown about 6.2 million. And so it was not meant to be the full, remake of the building or updating of the building. It was meant to put us in a place where we could offer pre-K to 5 at Brown.
Hi, Laura, see you.
Hi. I guess my question is more for Stacy or maybe Dr. Cook, but because I know the Board of Ed has a 10-year plan, so we're only seeing the upcoming 5 years. What do those numbers look like? The years 6 through 10, or maybe they're in here somewhere, but I'm not.
So I'm going to do my best to wean the Board of Ed off of the 6 through 10 program. It's an effective capital plan, and we have, as every organization does, we struggle to even execute our 5-year plan in fidelity. 6 through 10 ends up becoming just a dumping ground of projects that they start to lose their meaning. Right now, all these projects that did not make their way into year 5 in the past get stacked up into year 6. So year 6 has, a gazillion dollars of projects in there. I'd really like to refocus the team on a true 5-year plan and executing it with fidelity. That being said, the board does have a long range plan that's in place. Just to give you a quick order of magnitude, year 32 has $19 million of projects in it. So I'm laughing because that's clearly not going to happen. We want to refocus on a 5-year, get good, valid projects in there, have a good project mix, especially if grants come around, and then focus our attention on executing and then always adding projects into year 5.
Thank you. I think that might be helpful for everybody.
What other questions does anyone have? Doesn't look like I see any other hands raised. So I do thank you for your time, the panelists that were here to present for us.
You're welcome. We'll look forward to doing the rest on Wednesday.
Absolutely.
Thank you. And I know we owe you a cost analysis on the field savings. I think that will be something we'll have to update if it was ever done, or just create, because that was in the plan prior to even my arrival. So it definitely is more than 5 years, and so we'll take a look at that and how that kind of plays out. We'll get that to the committee as soon as we have it.
Thank you. Much
But thank
appreciated.
you for your time. Yes.
Thank you.
Item number 3 are citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens on the line?
I do not see any.
Very well. Then item number 4, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Wait.
Sorry.
Somebody's on
I
the
have
line?
I have one thing, if you don't mind, Bob.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sure, of
I'm
course.
sorry. On January 26th, we have a meeting at 5:30 p.m. But we also have a Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance budget workshops. So usually we have 2 workshops scheduled for CIP, and we typically only use the first one. And the second one was if needed. But if we do need it, I was wondering if we could move it to 7:30 a.m. versus the 5:30 p.m.
No conflict for me.
Does anyone have a conflict at all?
Confirming 7:30 a.m. on that Monday, the 26th, correct?
Yes.
John, I see your hand raised.
I had the same question, Bob. Thank you. So just to confirm it, we're going to change the 5:30 p.m. Monday, January 26th to 7:30 a.m. Monday, January 26th,
If we need the meeting, yes.
if you need it. Okay, great. Thank you.
Still tentative, right? Yeah.
Thank you.
John, did you have another question?
No, I'm sorry. Again, I'm too slow to lower my hand.
Oh, no, that's fine.
Bob, I do see there is an attendee who has their hand raised.
Oh, there is.
Mm-hmm.
And who's that? I don't see one.
It's Corrine Pickett. I'll allow her to talk.
Hi, could you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, I was under the impression that there was going to be discussion about walkways on West Wharf. Is that tonight?
That is tonight, but that is a separate meeting from this one.
Okay. So is that coming up next or something?
Let me check my schedule here on my phone. The public information session on sidewalks and crosswalk improvements is from, it looks like 5:30, and it's listed as 5:30 until 7 p.m. And that it says Town Campus, James Madison Room. I'm assuming it's on Zoom as well. Sorry, I was just looking at my calendar on my phone. So let me try. I can try the town
Yes,
website.
it's on Zoom as well. There's a Zoom link on the town website.
Yeah, it looks like it's listed with all the meetings for today as
Okay,
well.
thank you.
Yeah, not this one. Thanks for seeing that, Emily. I did not, that didn't come up on my screen.
No problem.
Yes, and then that's followed by a public information session on the downtown center project that begins at 7 p.m., I believe.
Correct.
Busy night.
Busy night. Just so we are clear, though, getting back to January the 26th, in the event that we do meet the meeting, it will take place at 7:30 a.m. And everyone seems to be in agreement with that, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to check one more time for item number 3. Are there any other citizens on the line with comments?
If you have a comment, just raise your hand. I see there's 3. There's 2 now. I don't see any hands raised. I think they're
Yeah,
good.
I don't have access to see from
If you
the,
click on participants, you should be able to see panelists and attendees, but there's no hands being raised that I see now.
I don't see any either.
So I think we're good.
thank you. Okay, then I guess we can move on to item number 4, and I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay, I see that from Jen. Is there a second?
I'll second that. It's Emily.
Emily will make the second. All in favor would say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks, Bob.